Ask the Professional Organizer. Hi, I'll do a quick introduction as people are joining us here. My name is Catherine Lawrence. I am a certified professional organizer. I have been working as a professional organizer, believe it or not, for almost 20 years now. Oh, gosh, I can't believe it's been that long. But I have run my business all types of different ways. And one of my favorite things to do is to talk to aspiring professional organizers, those of you guys just getting into the business and setting up your business. It's something I love talking about. I love promoting entrepreneurship. I've loved being my own boss for the last 20 years. It certainly has its ups and downs, but I would not have it any other way. And I certainly would not take a 9-to-5 job now after all of the incredible things I've done working for myself. So yeah, if you're new here to my channel, welcome. So I have a YouTube channel here. It's, I would say mainly what I'm talking about is downsizing, decluttering, and the business of organizing. So I know a lot of you guys come here to ask about working as a professional organizer. And that's what I love talking about. I am going to be doing more videos. I think next week I'm going to be talking about kitchen organizing and unpacking a kitchen. That's one of my favorite areas to work in the home. And then after that, I'm probably going to be talking a lot about working with hoarded spaces. And that is because I have, gosh, just in the last, I think about 9 months, I have been working on the TV show Hoarders. And if you watch season 12, which is currently on A&E, they have not moved season 12 to Netflix yet. There's something that's up on Netflix. But if you have access to A&E programming, you can catch me in the background there on a couple of episodes. Sometimes you'll hear me speaking to the hoarder or directly to the doctor. But mainly I am there to do the organizing piece of it. I do a lot of papers. I work with a lot of photos. I work with family members. And so basically when that hoarder says, hey, I'm ready to let go of this category of things, or I'm ready to clear out a room, I kind of jump into action and work with the rest of the team there to make sure that actually happens in a timely fashion, because we only have 4 days to clean out a hoarded house. So it all kind of can go down pretty quickly. And so I'm there to expedite that process. So you don't see me a lot on camera, but I am just working my butt off on that show. And it's been quite an adventure. So let's jump in. I'll tell you how today is going to work. So anytime you can post your question in the comments. And so I've got a couple of questions that came in. If you're not on my email list, make sure you check out the description of this video and you will find a free guide. So when you sign up for the free guide, you'll be on my email list and then you'll be notified of upcoming live streams like this one. And then what I like to do is just ask people to send me questions. And then that way I have something to kind of start the discussion with today. So I have one question that came in. And also when you guys join, please let me know, like give me a thumbs up that you're here and that you can hear me, and that I'd love to know where you are. I mean, sometimes we have an international community here, which is really cool. And I'd love to know where you are starting your organizing business and where you are in the process. Do you have paid clients yet? Or are you just kind of learning how to become an organizer? Are you taking practice clients? Let me know in the comments. Where are you and where are you in your business? And I am just going to pop over to my YouTube channel and make sure that this thing is coming through loud and clear, and that you guys are able to hear me. Okay. Great. Awesome. Okay, thanks for letting me know you're here. Yay. Okay, Joanne's here, still working on a KonMari certification. Hi, Anne. I know I'm going to be talking to you soon. Okay, now all the comments are coming through. Good. It was kind of quiet there for a second. I was like, I hope someone's here. Okay, we've got Maryland. I'm in Virginia, by the way, guys. So sort of East Coaster here. Great. Awesome. So another Catherine's here, been catching up on my content. Yeah, guys, I think I have like 60 videos on YouTube now. So binge away and more videos are coming. So lots of good stuff there. All right. I'm going to jump into my first question here because it's I think a really easy one. let me answer this that someone emailed in today. And she says, okay, so her question is, do you feel that the need for professional organizers has diminished at all since so many people have been home in the last year cleaning out and organizing their own spaces? Okay, so my answer to that is absolutely not. And what I'm seeing in my business now, since in Virginia, once you're vaccinated, or of course we're eliminating those mask rules, and my phone's kind of ringing off the hook right now. So I'm getting a lot of clients that want to kind of refresh their space. Now, I mean, think about it. If you haven't had company for over a year and now people are going to come into your space again, you're probably thinking, maybe I need a change. But I will tell you the trend that I'm seeing in my area right now, which we should all be getting a boost from, is that people are moving, relocating. May is moving month. So this springtime time of year is already a big year for people moving house. And I know right now where I am, like real estate is kind of crazy. Like people are moving and relocating, and that opens a lot of opportunities for professional organizers. So the first opportunity is you want to declutter someone's home before they move. So anytime someone moves, they're thinking, do I really want to move all this clutter? And do I want, do I want to pay someone to move this to another house? So that's a huge opportunity for a professional organizer to come in and do some decluttering before they move. Now, the other side of that, and something I love to do, is to unpack and set up a client's home when they move. So instead of them, setting up the kitchen and, then I have to come in later and pull everything out and reorganize it, I promote, like, let me unpack your kitchen and set up your closets in your new home. So that way it's getting started fresh and, right from the beginning, it's good to go. So I definitely see organizing as a big opportunity right now. I know we've got the second season, I guess they're calling it, of the Marie Kondo show on Netflix. That's going to be this summer. And I believe the Home Edit ladies are going to be doing a second show as well. So organizing is still a hot topic. And with people moving around and, having company over, I think this is a great time to work as an organizer. And if your market's anything like mine, you should not have any trouble finding those clients. So good luck to you. So if you guys are just joining, please put your questions in the comment section. And what we're talking today about is working as a professional organizer. How are you doing with your marketing? How are you doing with your clients? Tell me what's going on. And we're here to talk about that today. So that was the easy question that I got over email before this live stream. The more complicated question that I got, I'm going to put this up in, let me see if I can find it here in my email. Okay, so here's kind of the long and short of it. I feel like I could probably do a whole sort of scripted video on this topic, but here is the question that I got. All right, let me put this here. So I just copied this into the comments so you guys can see it. So it's a short, there's kind of lots of parts and pieces to this. So the question I got was how to protect your time and efforts from people who are taking advantage of you. So let me go in a little more detail. Actually, this came from one of my coaching students. So hello, hope you're doing well. So there's 3 things that happened on a session. One, she did a lot of research off the clock. So she was looking for products and kind of figuring things out, but she wasn't charging the client for any of that time. So that was sort of one thing that she felt like, am I really getting paid for all my time and effort? The second thing she did was she stayed later than the upon time. So I think they were trying to do a 3-hour session. She ended up staying 4 hours and she just charged for the 3 hours. And she just kind of felt like she was being taken advantage of a little bit there. And the third thing was that, and this is so common, you guys, her client was really distracted during the session. So she had planned to, work with her client, go through categories of things and make decisions and all of this. And instead, her client was unpacking groceries, talking to her kids and kind of doing lots of other things around her house and was not working with the organizer during their time, even though she had said, I'm going to need some of your undivided time. So 3 things that happened there. So let's look at the first thing, doing the product research or, researching systems for your client off of the clock. So I have a couple of thoughts on this. First of all, if you're a brand new organizer and you're just getting familiar with different products and different options for organizing someone's home, I do think you're going to spend more time, in your home office or on your own phone, like looking things up and kind of figuring out different solutions. So, some of that is going to be your own professional development. However, I do think you need to be very mindful of your time, because if you've only charged your client for 3 hours and they need, some very specific products for like a craft room or something, and then you spend 3 hours at home designing a space and doing all of this and you didn't get paid, what you're going to find is you're going to lose a lot of money in your business, and you really don't have a sustainable business, because at the end of the day, you're only going to be making a few dollars an hour because you're not charging for that time. So the first thing I would recommend is that when you are with your client, you want to do as much research in sort of that included time. So for example, if I'm with a client and we're working in a playroom and they say, I want this really specific organizer for like puzzles, and I want it like this way and that way, I'll say, okay, I'll kind of get to a stopping point with what I'm working on, or I'll tell the client, like, let's set aside, the last 20 minutes of your session to find that specific product. So I do try to incorporate that in the time that I have with them and the time that I'm getting paid, because that is part of what we do as organizers. We find these very specific products, and it actually is more helpful if I'm in the home, because I may have my choice of 2 or 3 different like puzzle organizers and I need to measure, and then I also want to show that to the client and say, okay, well, this one has like a white finish and this one has like a brown finish, like which one do you prefer? Okay, let me see if I can get that ordered for you. So it is actually better to be on site to get those exact measurements and also show your client those choices, because there are a million organizing products. So, I like to show the client like 2 or 3 choices and say, I think this would fit with your design, because if it's something very visual, they're going to see it and I want them to love it as well before I, ask them to spend $100 or even more on a product. So I would try to do as much of the research and shopping on site as part of your session. I've certainly had clients where that was kind of all we were doing with space planning and product recommendations, and I will do that as a separate consultation session. So I'll actually go in and charge them just for that time and to research products and to do a floor plan and to show them choices of things. So try to get that included, and then you won't feel like you're working all these extra hours off the clock. The other piece of this, she felt like, she did stay later during the session. So, this is kind of a tough one because, sometimes you get into the organizing process and then you're like, I'm always watching my clock, like, oh my God, it's going to take me 30 minutes to put these clothes back. And you guys are just going to get better at estimating some of your time as you work with clients. But I would definitely keep your eye sort of on the clock, and I would try to allow at least 15 minutes to sort of wrap up with that client. So sometimes I'll tell my client, even in the last 30 minutes of the session, say, okay, I think this is all we're going to get through today. Let me put away, the categories that we have sorted. And then I want to make sure I leave time to, answer any other concerns you have and that type of thing. So you just have to kind of get in the habit of ending that session. And it's really hard. I know this happens to me too. And the client says, well, can you take a look at this room? And what about this thing? And then the next thing you know, it's an hour has gone by and you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So just be really mindful of your time. And also, if you have a client who always does that, you need to kind of wrap up earlier with them or budget that time in to talk to them. So the third piece is the client is distracted while you are trying to work with them and talk to them about clutter and solutions and all those things. And I have to say, working, especially with parents or working parents, they are so busy. They are constantly trying to do like 5 things at the same time. So, I think you really just have to kind of decide if you want to work with that population and how you're going to work with that population, because they may need more of an assistant or someone to do some of those jobs for them. And then you can get into a relationship where they will allow you to make some executive decisions. So I never do that on the first appointment, but as the relationship progresses, I have a little bit better relationship with that client, and I can help them make some decisions, and it'll work out. So just be mindful that population is extremely busy, and just kind of see how you want to play that out. Okay, I'm going to go to the comments now. Let's see. I think Catherine. Awesome. So we got Marilyn. Okay, let's take a look at this one. And for you guys who are just joining me, please feel free to put questions in the comment section. All right, so our question is, there's quite a range of courses and certifications offered. I'm finding it difficult to discern which certification is most valuable from the client's perspective. That's really interesting, because I have taken hours and hours, hundreds of hours of training, and I am a certified professional organizer, and I'm also a certified KonMari consultant. But, sometimes I think specifically from the client's perspective, what they are looking for is, did someone in my community recommend this person? And then was I able to gain trust with that person, like once I started working with them? So I got to say, sometimes from my perspective, I'm not sure they're really looking at that piece of it. I do value certification, and I do value training, and I'm constantly, even after 20 years, I'm still getting training. But I've never had a client call and say, I'm looking for a certified professional organizer, or tell me about your credentials. I think it's really a lot about trust building. And I'll tell you, sometimes where the certification comes into play is when you are getting referrals from other organizers or organizers outside of your market. So an example of that is sometimes I will get calls from organizers in other states, and they will say, oh, I have a client who's moving to your area, and I'm looking for someone who's certified. I'm looking for someone with that experience. So I think when organizers are referring other organizers, it's something that they really look at. What is your specialty? how many hours do you have in the field? What training have you had? And now with that, I will say a lot of my clients are referrals from other organizers. So it is very valuable to get those referrals. But as from your client's perspective, I'm just not quite sure they're really looking at that. What I would focus on right now, Catherine, for you is to do some basic training that gives you the confidence to go and do certain jobs. So for you guys who are starting out, you may find that it's, easier to do, kitchens and closets and playrooms, and you don't necessarily want those first clients to be extreme hoarders or someone with maybe like ADD that needs some sort of special, tips and strategies. So I think if what I would do is stay kind of general or pull, I talk a lot about niche organizing. So if you guys don't have my free launch guide, definitely get that, because in there is a niche worksheet. And what I want you to do is pull some skills from previous jobs and kind of build your resume that way. So build your resume, get some basic training. You guys, I have the all of my courses right now. You can get them in a bundle for under $200. And I will tell you, when I go and work with my clients, I'm charging at least $200. So you guys should be able to make this money back in a session or two, definitely within a couple of days. So I would look at training initially that just gives me the confidence to go in and do some basic jobs. And then you're going to build your clientele from there. And then you're going to use that income to get some more specialized training. So specialized training might be from like ICD in the field of chronic disorganization or hoarding. It may be like working with a special population, like working as a senior move manager or something like that. So basic training now, and then work towards a certification after you have some income, of course, to pay for it. And remember, you need to have experience to get your certification if you are doing the NAPO certification or the KonMari certification. So that's something I like to explain to people. It's not get certified and then work. It is work, get experience, use that experience to prove that you can be certified. So just keep that in mind. Don't get too hung up on the certification process. Just get enough training so that you are comfortable to take clients, and that's going to build your business and give you the revenue to get additional training and certifications. Okay, Catherine says this is a part 2. Today regarding the most helpful essential course list. Regarding the most helpful essential course list to start with, if you have covered this previously. Well, I can only, I guess, speak to my courses. So in my bundle, I have 4 courses. So I have an introduction to professional organizing, and that is going to be all about the client process. So that's going to be from the time the client calls you on the phone, you put your business cards out there, or you put something on Facebook, and now someone calls and says, I need you to organize my house. So that is from the first time you take that call to when you finish that job. So my intro course covers the process so that you feel very confident about what you're doing, because you guys are going to walk into some really cluttered spaces, and I hope you know what you're going to do. Don't worry, there is a formula to it, and that's what I explain in that course. The other piece that you guys, a lot of people actually on my YouTube channel have signed up for is the Essential Forms course. And so those are the forms, like your client intake form, your action plan, your client agreement. So, when you go into this, you might want to have some contracts with, people that you're bringing on site with you, that type of thing. So that's the Essential Forms course. And then I also talk about doing consultations and action plans in Trello. That's another course. And then I have a workbook, which is going to get you thinking about marketing, business building, and networking, and all those things you're going to need to get clients. So those are the 4 products that I offer, and you can get those all in a bundle for $187. which I think is a pretty good deal. And then if you are, Catherine, I don't know which certification you might be looking into, but you'll be using those hours. Like right now, the NAPO certification, it's 1,500 hours. The KonMari certification, it's way fewer hours, but you need to take her workshop first. So if you guys have questions about that, I can answer that as well. All right, so circle back with me, Catherine, if that didn't quite get to what you were talking about. Okay, so Belle asked, how will I be a good fit? I love organizing and making spaces beautiful. Worry about dealing with people who don't want to get rid of anything or who are unhappy. Yeah, it's a lot of sad, disorganized people out there, unfortunately. Yeah, so Belle, in the industry, we kind of separate between chronic disorganization and which CD, and then with sort of more traditional organizing. So chronic disorganization may include some brain-based, I want to say qualities, but that's not quite the right word, but there are some issues there that have led to a chronic problem of spaces not being organized. Okay, so if you do not want to work with the chronically disorganized, and I would put hoarding and shopping addiction and depression and even ADD kind of in that category of things that are going to cause someone to have an ongoing problem with organization. Okay, so that's what we call chronic disorganization, or CD. So what I would do, Belle, is just make sure you're very clear in your marketing that you like to do, space planning or storage solutions, or not that chronically disorganized people don't need those things, because they certainly do as well. But I would keep your marketing very light and very kind of solution driven. And then I would network in your community with an organizer, a professional organizer who works with hoarding and chronic disorganization and some of those more challenging issues. And then make sure you have someone to refer that business to, so that if you do a consultation, or I can tell now just by talking to someone over the phone for about 15 minutes, I can kind of see where they fit in what is causing the disorder. Sometimes it's a lack of time, a lack of priorities, but sometimes it is more on the chronic side, like hoarding tendencies or shopping addiction. So yeah, I think pre-screen your clients. I have a video on my YouTube channel here about, I think it's called Working with Strangers, pre-screening. So you definitely want to pre-screen. And if you're there's a couple of tests, there's 3 questions you can ask to determine if someone is chronically disorganized. So you want to make sure you ask those questions. And if you don't think it's a chronic problem and you can go in and help them, you might want to think about the KonMari method as well, because that doesn't really deal with chronic disorganization either. So do your marketing and pre-screen your clients and make sure that they're a good fit. Okay, where am I here? Let's see. Hi, okay, here's beautiful day. I've held business license for a while, but just starting to get busy. Awesome. Oh, great. Yeah, so you have my bundle. Wonderful. Yeah, marketing in your community. Absolutely. And you guys, now that in most communities, certainly in my community, COVID is on the decline, thankfully. We can start getting out there and doing more networking and speaking to our community. So whatever your The most important thing is to figure out who is so are you going to be working with seniors? Are you going to be working with moms? Are you going to be working with people who are moving? Where, try to find or try to figure out sort of who your target audience is. And then let's get out and start talking to them and getting in front of them, give a workshop, do some speaking engagements, or or network with someone else who works with that same population. So let's get out there and get known in our community. All right. And so for you guys, I can see a few more people just joined us. Put your comments in the, put your questions in the comment section of this video. And that's how I'll be answering questions today. And welcome. Okay, so Anne has a question about Google advertising. Is it worth it to bring clients in? And if so, how often should we be running advertising? I have tried other avenues and they don't work. So I'll tell you here's my relationship with Google. I take more of an organic approach. So and what I mean by that is I'm going to put content out out on the internet, and that could be a blog, that could be a YouTube video, that could be just some information, that could be Pinterest, even posting on Pinterest, some way that Google is going to kind of find my business and figure out where I fit and then how they're going to recommend me. So I think before you do advertising, and I should just full disclaimer, I am not a Google ad expert, but I do come up in Google quite a bit for my target audience. So I'm happy to tell you guys how I do that organically. And then I'd probably make sure your organic pieces are in place before you start paying money, because Google has to kind of figure out how to find you. So what I would do, Anne, and actually just anyone here, right now, is go to Google and say something like, find a professional organizer near me, or find a home organizer and then put in your zip code or your town and see if your business comes up. Okay, so let's start with that. So if you go in and find that you are not listed there at all, I would talk to your web developer or whoever's helping you with your website to make sure that it's called SEO, search engine optimization, but see how they can help you with that to get recognized, sort of that Google can help people find you when they're looking for you. So also kind of related to this, make sure that you're listed in Google My Business. So because, and what you can also do, make sure that your business, you have an official Google business listing. So that's, and you'll know, I mean, you can put in your company name or your website name, and then this other little sort of info card comes up, and it will say, like mine will say Space Matters has, X number of 5-star reviews, and they're open Monday through Friday, or here's their website and here's some pictures. So make sure that Google even recognizes your business. And then see if that is set up, and then see how your SEO is working. So if I went to your community and said, find an organizer here, are you even coming up? So if you don't have a business listing and you're not coming up in just a basic search when people are specifically looking for you and your business, I'd probably work on those two pieces first before I start paying for advertising. And Belle, I'm just going to pull this in since it's kind of Google related. No, that's, so Belle says Google doesn't show business unless they have a physical address. That's actually, no, that's actually not true. You don't have to show your address on Google, because a lot of consultants like myself work from home and we don't have a retail space. So I would circle back with Google on that and go ahead and, like, my searches wouldn't have my home address, because if I go to my clients' houses, and when you set up your Google, there'll be that's one of the questions that they ask is that, do you have a physical address? Do you go, to the location. It may be a little confusing because Google, to register, Google will need to send you like a pin, like they'll send you a little postcard, and they will need an address to send that to, but that is not forward facing on the Google listing. So they do actually need to verify that you are, a real person with an address, but it doesn't have to be that home address. Also, you can use a post office box to manage a lot of your business, or I have a co-working space, so I have an address at that co-working space. So there's also ways to get a physical address without actually, I would not rent business space. I can't imagine how expensive that would be. And I don't think that would be worth it at all, because if you're anything like me, I mean, clients don't come to me. I mean, I work on, Zoom if I'm working virtually, and then I go to their houses. So, yeah. And then back to, beautiful day. Have someone else Google your business, because sometimes your own company name, like I'm constantly in my own website. And so sometimes Google will start to recommend my website as I'm searching for things. And I'm like, no. Or you can open an incognito window, and then that shouldn't be pulling from your own history. So I guess everyone's homework today is to make sure that their business does come up in Google. You also want to go ahead and get some reviews in there that will help your listing if they're pulling up a couple of different companies. You want to have your Google listings and just have your clients and people you've worked with go in and put those listings in. And I would start with that. I would make sure my website's visible. I would make sure there's enough keywords on my website that makes my business visible. You can do that. Well, your web developer has, I'm sure, lots of little tricks and places that they can put it. But if anyone's thinking about starting a blog, that's a great way to drive traffic to your business. Blogging is a lot of work, so I wouldn't do it unless you just love writing and putting information out there. But having that content out there, Google will be more likely to kind of push your information out there, because they'll kind of understand. It's like getting way more keywords for your business. So if you are a hoarding specialist, you want to write lots of blogs about hoarding, and then Google will understand that, you're a hoarding specialist and you live in, Ohio, and then it's going to put those together and then show your customers. So I hope that helps. It is very important for people to be able to find you. But other things too, like I said, Pinterest, Facebook, the NAPO website, being connected, having your information out in other sources outside of just your website will also help people find you. So and make sure you're doing your local marketing as well, because you can get a ton of business organically through referrals as well. Sometimes I think in the beginning, your website is just to kind of show, you're going to go out and you're going to network and you're going to kind of meet with people in your community. And then they're going to go back to your Instagram and your website and make sure that you are legit and a good fit. So sometimes people may be hearing about you and then they're going to your website and Instagram to kind of check you out, and then they're going to purchase from you. Okay, so we have another question about a website. And for those of you guys who are just coming in, free to put your question in the comment section and I'll get right to it. So question is, how did you build your website, and did you do it yourself or did you hire someone? So when I first started my business, I did the website myself because, I didn't have a ton of money and I was just kind of figuring things out. That was a while ago, and I have to say, it was pretty complicated. I was actually coming from a job where I had a more technical job, and I was actually able to kind of put that together, but it was not particularly easy. I do think now with like Squarespace and Wix and GoDaddy, there's all these templates where you can put together a basic like 5-page website and get something out there that looks official and that makes your business look legit. So if you're tight on a budget, I would, try to do as much as you can on your own. But also, if you have zero web skills and you really need to put something out there, you probably want to hire someone. After I was in business, probably 1.5 to 2 years, I did hire a developer to do a website. And then I did that kind of 2 more times. And then I sort of went back to creating my own website, kind of on my own in WordPress. And then just recently I hired someone and paid them a good amount of money plus a photographer to do my new site. So I've done it both ways. Just because I hired someone to do my website, it's not like the phone is ringing off the hook because people are finding my website. It was just more, I put a little extra effort into it now, of course, after being in business, 20 years, and I'm trying to do some different things in my business that can be more in the public eye and kind of outside of my local market. So I decided to kind of bite the bullet and get a lot of that professional stuff done. But I have to tell you, it didn't really matter in the beginning. I think it matters that you have a website and that you look professional and that you have, actually, if you're on my YouTube channel, there is a great video with Clancy. I did an interview with another KonMari organizer, consultant, and we talk about Squarespace. And we talk about like the 3 or 5 things that you need for your basic web design. So check that out. I know some of you guys get really hung up on having this like big complicated website, but honestly, I think you should put more effort into networking and connecting with people in your community, because I think that's probably going to bring you more business in the beginning than just your website. But you should have something out there that makes you look professional in the beginning. Okay, let's see here. What is the population in my area? I live in a town about 25,000, and the business would need to be almost full-time to meet my financial goals. Yeah, so Catherine, I live in a small town. My population is probably a little bit smaller than that. I'm not sure. But what I do is I commute to a larger suburban area a lot. So I actually don't work in the town that I live in. It's extremely rare that someone hires me in sort of my small town. I kind of live in like a farming community. It's big like DIY and farming and blue collar community. So they're not really going to hire me to do kind of, I think organizing is a little bit of a higher end service. Yeah, so can you commute to a bigger area would be a question. And then the other piece of it is I actually coached a woman who was similar, had just a small population, and like the biggest city was like 2 hours away or something. But because she was the only organizer in town, she does everyone's house. So she downsizes all the seniors and she sets up all the kids' rooms, and she actually gets a good amount of work from her community, but she's really well known in that community. So a couple of options: you can commute outside, if the numbers aren't quite right where you are. But if the closest city is, a couple hours away and you just have this town to work in, I would get really saturated. I mean, I would do interviews with the local paper. I would speak to every community association in that town. I mean, everybody needs to know you and what you do, and try to figure out who in your that community is going to use you the most. Is it the moms? It might be the seniors, kind of senior downsizing. It might be, clearing out houses as people move. It may be unpacking houses as people move around in the community, but figure out something and just being really known in that area, because you might be the only organizer. I can't imagine there'd be a ton of competition, but it may be a matter of finding. Building a virtual business is a bit different. You're going to want to really put some emphasis in your Instagram, in your website, because people from anywhere in the world can find you. And so, you can also take that route, and people can you can just work with them over Zoom, over social media. If you are doing the virtual route and you're trying to get the attention of, people sort of worldwide or anywhere in the country, you really want to put a lot of emphasis into your online presence, because that's definitely how people are going to find you. Whereas working in your town, you want to put focus on like your local media. So hope that helps. I'm wondering, like for me now, when I moved to this rural community, I knew I was going to have a 30-minute to a 50-minute commute if I was going to see people. I just kind of knew that, kind of came with the territory. It is what it is. I live on a farm. So, I know that if I'm going to work with people, I'm going to have to travel a little bit. All right, guys, I think we're kind of coming to our end here. Let's talk a little bit about certification, membership. Does membership provide any product discounts with Container Store or other businesses? You do get, let me think about this. So NAPO, NAPO.net. Let me just put that in NAPO.net. So if you're in the US or even outside the US, that's the largest trade association, I think would be fair to say. There's other organizations, but NAPO, the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Consultants, they have partnerships, and I think I get 20% off at Container Store. I might have that wrong. But then also I have my certification through Marie Kondo, and that I believe is the same discount at Container Store. So I don't think the Marie Kondo, other than her own store online, I think those are the only discounts. I might be wrong about that. But yeah, when NAPO has those partnerships, you can definitely get some product discounts. And then if you're looking in your community to add like revenue streams, you may want to connect with other NAPO vendors that are in your area, like closet companies or hauling companies, or any of the franchises that are also in your local market. And you might want to connect with them and find out what discounts they offer to your clients, and potentially what type of partnerships they have with organizers that you may be able to, bring in another revenue stream through selling or, recommending some of their products. So I feel like NAPO would have the biggest one. By the way, you don't have to be certified through NAPO. You would just have to be a member. So yeah, I don't think, of course, with Marie Kondo, you would be certified, and then you would, theirs is like you have to be certified and then you get the discounts. But I think NAPO, you just have to have a membership and you can get the discounts. I think that's right. But definitely check out both of those sites. I think the NAPO membership, really big blog on this. If you go to my website, let me type that in because I've been talking about it a lot here. It's myspacematters.com. I have a couple of blogs on there you're going to want to read. One of them is just about certification in general. There's a couple of big programs, ICD, NAPO, and KonMari, that offer certification. And So I have that blog, but then I just recently did a blog about NAPO membership and the full costs and how to get the most out of the training. So one of the really big benefits of joining NAPO, there's kind of two. One, once you get to professional status, which that's a whole thing. So definitely read that blog and then visit the site, because there's sort of a couple of hoops you have to jump through. Once you have professional status, you will be listed on their main website. And that's actually how some companies have found me, particularly if you're going to be working in relocation. That's a great way for people to find you, because then they will know if someone's moving into your town. So you would be listed where they can search by your zip code, and then they can say, oh, I have a client or someone moving into your area. Can I hire you to unpack them and then provide organizing services? So one, you definitely want to get the public facing listing so people can find you. And then the second piece is if you join a chapter, and you're in a small town, so I doubt that there's a chapter in your town, but you can join the virtual chapter for about an extra like $75 or $80. And then you will have access to like hundreds of hours of training, either through their monthly meetings or through the annual conferences. Okay, so NAPO has this conference, and there's all of this course material that gets presented. Well, as a virtual chapter member, or typically a chapter member of other chapters, you have access to that whole library. Okay, so it's a couple $100 to get in, but then you will have access to hundreds and hundreds of hours of training. So I think that's a really good deal. So go to my website, and it's one of my newer blogs, but if you just search NAPO or certification, those blogs should come up, and I would read through those and get some more detail on how to get the most. I think that's one of the better financial deals on getting a ton of training, is to join NAPO and then join a chapter and get all their stuff. I mean, it's still a pretty big commitment. I think it still comes out to be maybe $600, which, is, if you were going back to school to study interior design or become another professional, I mean, that would be nothing. That would be like one course. So I think it's pretty affordable, but there's a bit of a financial investment, but that's how to get like kind of the most bang for your buck, I think, if that makes sense. Okay, quick question. When is a good time to send a potential client your contract? So my process starts with a sort of initial call. And so I'm going to talk to them over the phone or over Zoom. That's what I've been doing lately, is trying to get on Zoom, because then I feel like I can really connect with them. And so after that call, I can email them my client agreement, or I can bring it to our first appointment. It's sort of optional. It has helped with some of my clients. Like I had a woman who, she was kind of on the fence. She was just really guarded and not real sure if she wanted to have someone into her home. She had a family member who had hoarded a couple of rooms in her home, and they were gone, but she was just feeling very kind of embarrassed, I would say, about the space, and wasn't sure if she wanted to hire anyone to look at it. So I did my phone consultation, my 15-minute, phone call. I didn't book, but I went ahead and sent her an email with my client agreement in it. And because in my client agreement, I talk about confidentiality and, some different things that would sort of help my credibility and appear professional. Once she saw my client agreement and saw the confidentiality clause and all the things in there, she actually hired me because my email and my materials looked very professional. So it kind of gave me a little bit of an edge, and I did end up getting that job and working with her. So, which, by the way, you guys, if I talked about that bundle earlier, and my client agreement is in there. And you can also get the client agreement in my Essential Forms course, but all of that's included in the bundle. So that actually helped me to close the job. Whereas, I do like to try to book the call, book the job when I get off the call, but you don't always do that. And then that actually really helped. Oh, I think I skipped. Where was I? Yeah. So if it helps to send them the contract, I would do it right after sort of an initial phone call. But then you can also just bring it to the appointment. If you're working with them face-to-face, you can bring it to the appointment, have them sign it during your initial consultation or your first session. I think that would be fine as well. Yeah, so Catherine, pricing on the website, this is really optional. And I think I was actually talking to a new organizer today about setting up that service section of your website. And she does not have paid clients yet. So this is a very new thing for her. You don't have to put the pricing on there. So I have now started to put more pricing on my site because I want my I'm extremely busy. And so sometimes I don't have time to sort of call people and charge them and tell them when I'm available. So they can actually go on my website and just buy a session. Like they can buy a consultation and it just charges them through the website. So obviously the price is up there for my consultation. And I just this week was thinking, I'm going to just go ahead and put pricing up for a couple of other sessions so they can just book it and pay for it. So that helps me a lot. But I'm not trying to get my first paid client. So I think in the beginning too, you're still trying to figure out your pricing and some of your structure as well. So yeah, I don't think it's really necessary in the beginning. And, sometimes when people start out, they're not really charging like a full market rate. Like, I wouldn't just start my first job. Okay, I'm going to charge $100 an hour because that's the top tier in my community and what my market will bear. But you can work up to that. So yeah, you don't have to do the pricing. The other mistake I see is that brand new organizers who maybe only had like 1 or 2 paid clients, you go to their website and there's like, it says they're a specialist in lots of stuff. So it's like, oh, I can stage your home. I can help you downsize. I work with hoarders. I specialize in, kids and playrooms, and I do this and I do that. And sometimes it's a little much. And I think people have a hard time recommending you for a job because, you're just kind of saying you're a specialist at everything. So I would not recommend putting up like 50 different services that you can do. I would research the service that people are most likely going to hire you for, or that you're most trained in, or that, you have gone out and kind of surveyed your community and that there's like a huge need for someone to, declutter, help people declutter before a move. And then I would really just focus on explaining that on your website, instead of saying that you help people move and you work with hoarders and you do staging and it's like you kind of, if you look at some of the top organizers right now, like the Home Edit ladies or Marie Kondo, like it's very specific kind of look and feel of what they do. Now, we're not all at that level or even, strive to be, but you want to take a little bit of that same mindset and say like, what are people, and this goes back also to that search engine optimization. Like, are people finding your site because they need help unpacking a house? So it all has to kind of fit together. Like, people need to find whatever service you think people are going to find you through. You want to make sure that that's listed. But I think if you list everything and now you're competing with every website, within a 100-mile radius, it's going to be harder to kind of find you and refer you and recommend you. So I'm just really keep that to a minimum. Make sure you have a nice picture of yourself on the site. Tell a little bit about your story, and list a couple of services, and just keep it really simple, and get people. And this is actually in that video I find on the site. You want to have a call to action. So what do you want them to? So for me, I want people to book that 15-minute call. Like, that's what I want them to do. Whatever they see on my website, whatever they're thinking, whatever they like, the next step is call me and let's do my pre-screening call, my consultation with them. So just make sure they know, if they like what they see, what the next step is. If that makes sense. Oh my goodness. Okay, guys, it's been an hour. So this will be my last question, but make sure you are on my email list. I'm also, let me put a link to that bundle that I've been about. That is the price to get all of my courses. Let me pop that in there. And of course, for you guys listening, if you have any questions about my courses or coaching programs or anything, you can do a clarity call with me. So let me put that link in here as well. And if you're not sure on what the next step is, as far as should you do one-on-one coaching, or should you work towards a certification, or where are you in your marketing efforts, go ahead and book a free 15-minute call with me, and I will get you started in the right direction. Because there really are a lot of, let me put that link in here. Okay, so that's, that's the new client call there. So best deal is the bundle. And then if you're not sure kind of where you're going, some people need one-on-one coaching. Some people just forms and, a little bit of help on those things. So just give me a call, and then we'll figure it out from there. Okay, so last question here. Are there common products that you keep on hand? Do you find you use most of your jobs? Or do you order? So my preference is definitely to order everything I need for the job while I'm on the job. I have heard, and I have some friends who are organizers, and you go to their basement and it's like Container Store down there, and they've got, the bins and boxes. I can't live my life that way. I can't have all that. I have a good sized house, but I cannot fill it with organizing products. So I don't order ahead of time. I mean, there's a little storage closet here behind me where I keep my supplies. Like, I like to have, of course, my extra label tape, and batteries for my label maker, and sticky notes and Sharpies and those types of things. So I do keep my supplies, a little box of extra supplies, and I have a tool bag that I keep in the car with all my supplies. But I just can't keep products on stock, because every job is a little different. And sometimes I'll go in, I'll say, oh, I need 10 photo boxes and 18 shoes, and a portfolio to store kids' art. So it's not like I'm just going to have that sitting around. And then I'll say even a step further. What if a client wants white photo boxes? Or what if they want floral photo boxes? Or what if they want, we're storing vintage photos, and we need the $20 archival safe museum quality box, for that. This made everything that they're going to, and it would just be impossible. And when I order product, when I get to that stage with a client, I'm usually ordering a good amount if we are, redoing a closet or something. So I might be ordering, 200 hangers, and, 30 shoe boxes, and all kinds of stuff. So it's just nothing I just couldn't keep that. Or IKEA. I love these little IKEA little pantry bins. But I would have no idea, how many to keep on stock. I mean, I usually need 8 to 10, but I don't want to just order. And also, to spend that money up front, for no reason. I know other organizers do it, and if you do it, great. But for me, I can't have that inventory, and I don't want to pay ahead of time to have that inventory in case I don't use it. So what I like to do, of course, I'm going to go through the decluttering process first with my client. So I know exactly what they need, and then I'm going to measure, and then I'm going to order that product and have it delivered is my preferred method. So that way they can put it on their credit card and have it delivered to their home. And then I also don't have to pick it up in my car. I don't have to deal with returns. So I'm not dealing with storage and returns, and it's lovely. So you can see why that's my preferred method to deal with all of those containers. All right, everybody, best of luck to you. Next week, I'm going to have a scripted video on my YouTube channel about unpacking a kitchen. Check out my website because I am doing blog updates all the time. So I'm going in to some older blogs and enriching that material. And I should kind of put something on Instagram when I have a new blog out as well. So best of luck, and I will talk to everyone later.